My name is Garfield Rogers. I represent Philadelphia Neighborhood Networks, Coalition for Essential Services, and WCRP. A few weeks ago, the state announced the intention to reduce SSI benefits by 20%. This program currently supports 350,000 poor, elderly, blind, and disabled Pennsylvanians. Unemployment is running out for many. Welfare benefits have not kept up with inflation, and many of the valuable and essential government services have been cut to the bone and are likely to be cut again this year. It's obvious that the state needs to find a way to raise additional revenue. Many options have been discussed, but there's only one fair way to raise all of the money we need for essential services: progressive taxation. In other words, if everyone paid their fair share, there'd be a lot more resources to go around. If elected governor, what will you do to preserve essential services like SSI, and how will you close corporate tax loopholes? Implement a state-earned income tax credit, a progressive income tax, and a natural gas severance tax. And what would you do to give municipalities the ability to structure their taxes in a more progressive way? The best is yet to come.
Thank you, Garfield. You're entirely correct to point out the outrageous reduction in the state supplemental grant for SSI. I wrote to the department, I told them they shouldn't do it, and I asked them to hold hearings before they go any further with that wrong-headed decision. As I said earlier tonight, we need fundamental tax reform in Pennsylvania. I favor a graduated state income tax. I'd like to see an extraction tax on Marcellus Shale, more robust than Governor Rendell has finally advocated. And I want to see corporate net income tax reform close that Delaware loophole so that the big corporations can't avoid their fair share of corporate net income taxes by moving their assets around the country and hiding the sales and the income that they actually generate here in Pennsylvania. I mean, the corporate world is screwing themselves by putting up with a truly unfair corporate net income tax that allows the wealthy corporations to escape taxation and the much smaller ones that are in the state to pay a full 9.99%. So fundamental reform is required. I want to shift school taxes off of property taxes onto income and ability to pay. That also would require a graduated state income tax. We've got to make our tax structure fair and progressive. It's the only way we will ever be able to fund the essential services that we are all here in favor of.
Let me also agree that what a horrible time to be lowering the SSI benefits, where we are with the economy right now. And as the next governor has to probably struggle with some pretty tough economic situations, I think it's about priorities. Before any department gets an increase or a COLA, we got to make sure that when there's money available, things like SSI go first, not last, as it relates to the increases that are involved. Also, when you talk about progressive taxes, a graduated tax structure requires a constitutional amendment. There's things we can do right now, because that's a minimum of 4 years if you can even get that done. I supported our income tax credit, which helps the working poor keep their money and encourages people to the middle class. I also think that there's ways to get revenues. The severance tax, I've supported it in my policy papers, and I think it's a smart thing to do because the Marcellus Shale, this largest natural gas find, maybe in the history of the United States, we get one chance to get this right. One chance. Severance tax, I'm governor, I will use to do a couple things. One, I'll make sure that there's an impact fund. Money goes back to the municipalities that bear the burden of the build-out of the industry. Two, I'll make sure that the money goes fully fund DEP, so we have enough people to monitor the environment. And three, I will make sure we do Grow and Green 3 so we can do conservation and preserve green space.
when we're in a climate where we don't have enough money to balance the state budget, we're $4 billion out of whack today as we sit here in Pennsylvania. That's reality. We can't print money like Washington. What do you do about it? What do you do about it? You look at the core essential services that are provided within our various departments, and you look at where there are other programs that duplicate them that don't work so well, and you eliminate them and you focus on the ones that do work well. I believe that we have these core services, we have an obligation to provide for them, and I believe that cutting out waste and fraud that's in that system, we can actually improve the delivery of core services. Now, beyond that, your question is about a progressive tax. I think your comment was that perhaps if we went to progressive taxation, we'd raise more revenue. I personally am not in favor of a progressive income tax. Frankly, our flat tax that we have right now in Pennsylvania is about the only tax in which we're competitive with other states. What we do need to do is grow the economy. Growing the economy and jobs produces more revenue. Cutting tax rates actually will generate more revenue. As far as the severance tax on gas and natural gas, I'm adamantly opposed to that because that would kill an industry already in existence right now, our current shallow well gas industry right now. We'd kill 30,000 jobs if we put that in place right now. So we have to be very careful about thinking that new taxes are going to create hope, because there will not.
Prior to new taxes, we have to make sure we're running this government efficiently and effectively. And I can sit here today as the Auditor General doing 5,000 audits a year and 25,000 in the last 5 years and say it's not running efficiently. And I can show you program after program after program. The Special Allowances Program, which helps people get retraining prior to going back to work. A back to work program, a $200 million program in state government, $200 million a year. We audited that program and found 45% of the expenditures did not have receipts. The simple better management of that program can create resources. Medical assistance and eligibility, of which capitation payments are being made to insurance companies, and Pennsylvanians are not even receiving any medical care. Correct eligibility can reduce those capitation payments to insurance companies and save Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars. Contracting and the bidding of it. We looked at one singular company that received $592 million in over 200 contracts, of which those 200 contracts, the majority did not have competition. It kept out small companies. It kept out job creation. It kept out innovation. That is unacceptable. And all of that must be corrected first before we talk about any new taxes in state government.